and watch. I will not be silent while the world is on fire. Will you?
Hi everyone and welcome to episode 5. So the other day I was working on some feathers and it wasn't going well. I was getting increasingly frustrated. So I decided to put it to one side and just do something quick. I thought of an animal. First animal that popped into my head was a kudu. So I found an image and just drew really quickly, tried to produce something substantial really fast. And this is what I produced in 23 minutes. I was quite proud of it because I had almost forgotten that I could actually draw fast. It just required loosening up the hand and not getting too obsessed with composition and proportions. I just did it by sight, and as you would have seen, I kind of worked outwards. Like with a piece of clay, you're sort of molding it, adding bits and shaping. It's a similar kind of process, just on a much more micro level. So this sort of led me on to doing a few more like this. And I've got this animal book that I would just open one page and draw whatever was there. So in the spirit of honesty and transparency, I haven't been feeling all that great today. Just feeling my anxiety just there on the periphery, creeping in. And I went for a walk with Jack in the park just now, and he runs up to every person and their dog. And I could just feel as I was approaching, I was panicking a little bit, just feeling like I can't cope with a simple conversation, which is something that happens often when I'm starting to feel like this. And it wasn't that bad. It kind of comes on and it's really quite hard to put your finger on exactly what has instigated it. It's usually a whole host of things. I think in this instance it's possibly that I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, having taken on too much. I think being an artist, it's quite hard not to take on things or create work for yourself. You have to constantly be working, or at least I feel like I have to constantly be working, even when it's not, say, a paid job or a commission. I always feel like I need to be producing, which for the most part is great and makes me feel pretty good. But it's a balance. Everything's a balance, and you have to, I find anyway, I have to occasionally just take a step back and just rest a little bit, because otherwise you can burn out. I've been working pretty much flat out since the beginning of the year, producing a lot more work. So I think for the most part, I've been really good this year. And this is kind of the first time I've felt myself getting a little bit low. So when I'm feeling like this, I try and implement the various coping mechanisms that I've kind of come up with over the years. One of which is Jack here. You want to say hi, Jackie? It was quite comfortable, I'm sorry. Yeah, just having Jack around all the time is really helpful, just as a stress buster. It's a mutual thing. He enjoys having his head scratched and I enjoy it too, tweaking his little ears. And the other thing is being more physically active. Fit body, fit mind. I think that might have been another factor, is that I haven't been physically active enough recently. Amy and I have been doing these workout videos from time to time, and the ones we've really enjoyed doing is Pamela Reeves videos. Simple, quick exercises with no equipment and no chat as well, which if you're someone like me who doesn't get motivated by having orders barked at you, then this is a great channel for you. So that's another thing. We're going to do a workout video tonight. But the main thing for me is doing more drawing. I think it's perfectly fine to be down, and it's totally natural. Happiness goes in cycles. It goes up and down, peaks and troughs. I think the thing to be aware of is when you're having too many troughs. You need to find a balance so that it's more like this as opposed to like this. You're finding that you're down more often than you're up. Then you've got to find something to try and rectify that. And I keep saying it, but drawing is a fantastic coping mechanism. I benefit from it daily, and it's for me the most effective thing. Now I know it's different for me because I've been doing it so long and it's almost instinctive, and I'm really confident and comfortable. 30 odd years experience is gonna help with that. And I know drawing can be quite daunting for some people. The main thing that I want to get across is that It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece every time. When I started out, I was prolific. I was drawing all the time. Rushed pieces that, were fairly rudimentary, but that was all part of the practice, and that really helped get me to where I am now. So I talk about doodling being your gateway to drawing. It's a great way to get started, and not worry too much about, there being a hair out of place here or an ear slightly too big there. Doesn't matter. You're just trying to get into the habit. You're trying to teach your hand to be loose and light. All these things take time. So that's why I wanted to, for this episode, simplify the process and do more of these speed drawing type videos that I'm about to show you now. So with all three of these, I spent an hour working on each one. I started with the squirrel, where I was much looser in my approach. This doesn't give you much time to think, so it's a lot more unpredictable, but also exciting. I tried to maintain this style throughout, and although I maybe overworked some areas, I was always trying to keep my hand light and not apply too much pressure. So when I went wrong, I could quickly fix it. And I was pretty pleased with the result. When it came to the fruit bat, I slowed down a bit to see how far I could get in an hour with a more habitual style. I felt that this one could probably benefit from another hour's work, but it's a good example of using bright colours for the base layers. This is something I've brought into my work a lot more recently, as I feel that it helps to add a bit more vibrance to the final piece. You can't really do it the other way around when you've already laid down some dark tones. So it might look a bit cartoony to begin with, but with some careful blending and layering, I like what it adds up to. With the elephant, I slowed down even more and tried to prioritize certain features like the head and body. I wasn't so concerned with the feet because I didn't want to lose any of the movement. By now, I was a bit more confident that I could get what I needed done within the hour, give or take. Just trying to find those more defined lines and bring those out without rendering every single wrinkle. Getting enough of the shape sketched out so it looks like an elephant, but working within the time frame. I was very pleased overall, and it was nice to suddenly have 3 new artworks in 3 hours, as opposed to like 3 months. Quickly before I go, I wanted to mention my Patreon account. If you'd like to support my work and the time putting all these videos together, you can find me on Patreon at Aveling Artworks. For patrons, I'm going to be putting a few more of these real-time demonstration videos. So for example, the elephant that you saw just now, if you go on Patreon next month, I'm going to be putting that out, the full hour of drawing, without much chat, if any, actually. I'm just going to be putting them out as they are. So if you're interested in seeing every single step of the way, every stroke of the pencil, you can. Come and join me on Patreon if you want a slightly deeper dive into my world and a little bit more content. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you're feeling well. I hope doing some drawing is going to help you feel better. Please share your drawings with me. I'd love to see them. That'll help cheer me up as well. As always, have a lovely week and happy doodling.